Alright, so today is Monday, June 8th. Coaching with Greg here. We're going to hop right into these questions. What's up, Paula? In your experience, is there a keyword density we can use to help make sure we are not over optimizing? Yeah, I went over this last webinar. Let me see. Hold on one second. Let me bring up this. Alright, and I did start the recording again, by the way. Okay, so keyword density, it really depends. I'll go over this quickly because we covered it last webinar, but if you got like something like how to lose weight for women over 40 years old, like that's a keyword. Well, the keyword density that's going to be allowed for that is a lot different than lose weight. All right, you might get away with 3%, like 5% on this because it's such a big keyword. But this is such a long tail keyword. If you use that for 5% in an article, you're going to get over optimized most likely. I mean, the same thing with anchor text. Like, if you have 1,000 links and each of these are 10% anchor text ratio, well, that's 100 out of 1,000 people saying this exact anchor text. What are the chances of that? Virtually none, right? Whereas 100 out of 1,000 saying just this, linking to you with that anchor text, that's a lot more possible, and you might get away with that. So keyword density really depends on. Remember, Google is a probability algorithm, so the longer the keyword, the lower the probability of being used a ton of times naturally, unless you're trying to stuff it in there. So you really got to play. It depends on like the length of the keyword, how many searches it gets, and all that. And also, of course, anchor text and your URL. Do you use keywords or LSI words when you name images? I don't worry a ton about that, Paula. Again, it depends on the site, but I'll play around with it. I don't think that's like super important. It might help like a very little bit, but I don't worry a ton about that. I might do like usually I'll do like partial. So if it's like Nashville SEO, I might do like I don't know, maybe the site name is like Nashville SEO Team, so I'll do like Nashville SEO Team One, something like that. But I won't just do like Nashville SEO, like the exact keyword usually. I mean that's just me. Alright, from Paula, I have a site on no index right now while I build it. When I need to verify it to use Joe's Wirecast YouTube upload, can I verify it with Google without them indexing it? Where am I in danger of crawling it and penalizing me later because the links and page have changed? I don't, I don't know if there's a reason you need to have it on no index right now, Paula. Unless there's a specific reason you have it on no index, I would just let it index. And any changes you make, the algorithm will adjust to it. I mean, unless there's a really specific reason you're doing that, I would just set it to index. Alright, from Yasin, I just now noticed that I sent two PBNs on the same hosting to one money site, but my money site didn't get penalized or de-indexed. What should I do? Should I just be careful moving forward or go back and remove one of the links? These links were sent around March and April, so they weren't recent. I have sent links a couple weeks after those links. I have 16 plus links in total going on my money site if you guys were wondering. I also noticed that I was having problems moving my site in the SERPs. I have a page stuck on number 4, another stuck on number 6, and third one stuck on number 12. Could that be the problem why they aren't moving? Yeah, I mean, again, it's any situation like that really depends on what you already have going to your site. So, I mean, if those were like, two of the first links to your site, I'd be a lot more worried about that. But with other links in the mix, that's not something they can necessarily penalize people for. Because remember, think about it, if they just penalize that all the time, I could go to any site out there, send two links from the same host, and then they'd get penalized. That wouldn't make sense. So, I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to get a penalty. I mean, it's not good. Try not to do it. Um, if it were me, I would probably take one of the links down. That's a tough decision because it was done. When did you do it? March, April. Most likely, you would have seen negative effects from it by now. So I guess you could leave them up. If it were me, I'd probably just remove one of them though. I mean, It's like, I don't think that's the reason you're not moving, though. Because again, if it was that easy to negative SEO people, it would be pretty bad. All right. I can try it again with dashes. Sometimes it's weird. I can try looking at it. Depends what you have for the title, if we're going to be able to see that or not. Yeah, sites with dashes can sometimes be weird. And it also depends on the quality of the links going to the site. I would say it's most likely not penalized because with this search right here, we got the domain name plus title. It's showing up at number 2 out of 18,900. It at least doesn't have a strict penalty like a spam penalty because they wouldn't let it show up for this with this many results. They wouldn't let it show up number 2. So I would say it's not. It doesn't have any type of strict penalty. Remember, guys, you can always play if you don't know if it's like when you do this, it's not showing up. You can take it further. Put in the title with it, and there you see it pops up at number 2. All right. And we can even try it without the com, see if it still shows up, and it still shows up, so that's good. So, I mean, most likely this site has no type of strict penalty. I mean, remember, this method, I'm not saying it's flawless, but it's pretty darn good for strict penalties, at least. So I would say no, it doesn't. Alright, so here's a long one from Matt Scott. Whoops. Alright, I have a client site I'm working on. They're still on the bottom of page 2 for their keyword. I understand number of links and power of links also play a big part. Just wonder if this could be potentially over-optimized. Would you try to move it up? This is not the keyword, but is identical format. Keyword Death Valley Bike Routes. Domain.com Death Valley Bike Routes. Title Death Valley Bike Routes. Best bike routes in Death Valley. I'm not going to read all of this, but I don't know what all this stuff is below the title that you have here. But I mean, it depends on the links going to the site, and then also, the optimization of on page too, like how, what's your keyword density? I mean, Death Valley bike routes is pretty. You wouldn't want that a ton on your page because again, that's somewhat longer. I would probably just try it once or twice on the page, depending on how much content you have, and see how that does. But I mean, having it in your URL and in your title doesn't mean you're over optimized at all. It really depends on the anchor text of the links you got going here, and then how many times you have it on the page, and you could be totally fine. It could just be, remember, stuff's taking longer to rank now. So I mean, it depends on when you sent links, how long ago you sent them. It depends on a lot of stuff. But I mean, it could be potentially over optimized. I mean, that's your initial question. I would just do it less. Take it down a notch, if anything, on page, and see how it goes from there. Or just compare it to the top 10. You can do that manually, or you can use the OMG Command Center where you can see how many times are they using that specific keyword. The people who are ranking the top 10, how many times are they using it? So that's where I would start. All right, from Paula. I'm building a site that has different pages for different keywords in a related field. Only 4 main pages show in the menu. The others are solid beneath the home page but do not appear in the menu. Could you please clarify the doorway page problems that Google supposedly penalizes for? How is it triggered and what should we be careful of? Is the doorway penalty why Cotton's site was penalized? Upon manual review, my site is not an SEO site, but I want to avoid a penalty situation. I don't even know what that penalty is, Paul. I don't really pay attention to the penalties, like what penalty does what, so I'm not sure what that one is. But no, Cotton's site wasn't penalized because of anything like that. I think someone just, it was such a big example site, and I think someone turned them in, and then they penalized the site. So it was just such a big site. So, but I mean, if you're more specific on the doorway thing, I can maybe answer that for you. But honestly, with the penalties or the stuff that they name, I don't keep up with that stuff. I just know it works, and that's it. But if you say specifically like what that is, I can probably help you out with it. Alright, from Yasin, can you please go over when doing research on a PBN if there is a redirect, is that a bad thing? If there is a redirect, should we purchase it because all the link juice will go to the redirect domain, not the PBN that you want to buy? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty easy. Whenever there's a redirect involved, just make sure the site you're looking at, the links are going to the site that you're looking at. You know what I mean? And you can always double check by going to the actual links and looking at the page source. So, say this is one of your PBNs, one of the links going to your PBNs, you could open this up, and then you do right click. It's taking forever to load. And you would do view page source, and then you can just look at, do a search for the URL to make sure it's in the code. From Celine, I saw your latest video in the OTS where you add the exact keyword in the content. Is it okay if the keyword is in alt tag for an image? Yeah, actually, Celine, that usually should work. I've tested that before where the keyword wasn't on the page, and I only added it to like an alt image tag, and it actually moved the keyword up just like you saw in that example. So, because I mean, remember Google reads code. They read like the HTML code. So in a sense, it's somewhat the same as having it on the page. I guess that's the way they look at it. They might treat it a little differently, but yeah, I mean, having it in an alt tag will definitely help for sure. Alright, Corey, if someone didn't want to build a PBN, where are the best places to buy links from other people's PBNs? I would get with someone in the Facebook group, Corey, probably. From Sin. Do you still make your PBNs a blog type? Do you make the home page of your PBN a page and not a post? Network Empire thinks differently. No, I usually use all post, Yasin. But I mean, you can do a page, it doesn't matter. You can do either. If one of your PBNs gets penalized or de-indexed, should you just disavow it from the money site? Wouldn't that be better than just leaving it alone and moving on? It really depends on the situation, Yasin. I mean, it depends like what it did to the money site, honestly. If I have like a ton of penalized PBNs going on a money site and the money site gets penalized, I might just leave. I mean, it depends on the project, If it's a client site or something like that, then yeah, you probably want to disavow and try to get rid of it. But there's some cases where I just leave it alone. It just depends. Alright, do you still use Link Juice Keeper? I was confused on one of the replay webinars. You only use 301 redirect pages that have links, but before you even purchase the PBN, shouldn't you do research and check in the Wayback Machine if it is spammy? Because redirecting every page to the home page shouldn't be a problem because it shouldn't be a spammy site. Even if you 301 redirect page with links, the domain overall has a spam penalty. Yeah, still use it. Unless the site has, it doesn't have many links going to inner pages, then I may just manually do it. But yeah, I still use it. From Joe, do you set up autoresponders and email campaigns for your affiliate sites? We've done that, Joel. I don't do it personally, but yeah, I mean, we've done that. me see. So my hosting company shut down, but my website is not penalized and is still indexed. But before it was down, I sent links to my money site. Is that PBN seen in Google's eyes as a de-index site or any type of penalty type site? When I check my PBN on Google to see if it's de-indexed, it still shows up. I was just thinking of getting another host company. But what happens to my links that I sent out to that PBN when I install WordPress and content for a blog site? It's going to be considered a brand new PBN site. Again, so what should I do? No, I mean, they just see it as a site that's just not up right now. I mean, they know people have hosting problems and all that, so just put it up on a different host or whatever the case, and you'll be fine. Because I know you're talking about this forbidden message. I mean, just if you put it back up and get whatever you had there back up, whether it's on the same host or different host, it should come back to where it was before. Everything should be the same. It may take a little bit of time, but it should, come back to where it was. Now, if you leave it down for too long, then you might run into an issue. Alright, from Claudia, I've been waiting all week to see June 1st replay, but it was not uploaded. I cannot contact David and Mike. Could not help me. Did you arrange with David to post a replay of June 1st? Yeah, I don't, he should have posted that. I would imagine he did, but... But I'll email him and ask and see if he can get it up. Alright, from Wade. What's your latest on de-index PBNs? I have about 40 that I'll know what to do with. Do we leave them as is, remove links to money sites, point them to DAS instead, 301, redirect entire domain rather? I usually just don't use them anymore, Wade. Like, I just won't do anything with them. I mean, I might test with them, but usually I just don't use them at all. Daphne, do you know what happened to 27 hosting? Even their website's down. I know you had a list of hosting providers that you use. Where in the members area can I find that? Do you have any favorites? I don't think I ever listed shared hosting. Are you talking about 24/7 host? Maybe? I think there's actually a dash in there. Huh. That's weird. I don't know what happened to them. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into that, Daphne. Alright, from Carl. These metrics are from an old money site for which I want to put up a 301 redirect to my new money site. For link juice, TrustFlow 12, CF26, PA30, DA17, 19,000 external backlinks, 404 referring domains. I can already tell you just from the PADA, with that many referring domains, it's probably spammy. But let me read your question. One day asked if it's okay to set up a redirect, especially because it has so many links and the trust flow is pretty low compared to CF. So I wanted to be sure it will not have a negative effect on my new site because it has spammy. I wouldn't use it. I mean, just so looking at those metrics, I can probably tell you that's not. It's spammy. It is spammy. But even if it had good metrics, you still gotta just manually look at the links, Carl. You know what I mean? Like relevant to what the site used to be about is one of my biggest signals. If it's a site that used to be about politics, it should be politic-related links going to the site with natural type anchor text. Brand, around the topic or whatever the site was on, stuff like that. Good rate for TF/CF. I don't really look at trust CF and TF. I mean, it's something I've been looking at more, but I usually just look at, use DA for that filter, and then I'll just use that as a starting place and then manually check from there, quality of links. So I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with TFCF. James, my money site always seems to get stuck in the bottom of the first page or the middle of the second page in local niches that don't seem competitive. I'm at 10 plus PBN links for some local suburbs, and I'm still stuck on the bottom of the first page. I feel like I follow the OMJ teachings exactly as taught, and I'm unsure of what to do to get my money sites unstuck. I mean, first check your on page against the competition, James. You know, see where your keyword density is compared to theirs. Start with that. And then from there, I mean, it just depends how long it's been. Again, remember, links are taking longer to kick in. It can take up to 6 months for a link to fully kick in now, from what I'm seeing. So you just got to be patient, and situation to situation depends on what you've done. You know, like some people will send me that message and will say, well, you know, it's been 2 weeks since I sent my links. I'm like, that's nowhere near long enough. Even if it's been a month or 2 months, they're slowly kicking in now. You just got to be more patient. So, all right, from Paul, he's still doing the main page. That is why it is one no index. The main page is long and involved. I mean, you can still index it though, Paul, and just as you update it, Google will update it in their system. So, again, I would just index it for me. And that was from her question from earlier, by the way. Alright, from Steve. I have a reseller hosting account with HostGator for the customers I do web design for as I host them on this account. I have linked a couple of client sites to my SEO sites by putting a branded link in their footer, which I've noticed many web designer companies do. Also, HostGator isn't a big provider, so I didn't think would be too much of a problem having a few links from this host. However, looking through the IP addresses of the sites on my reseller account, all the IPs, although the IPs are not exactly the same, they do all have the same C class. Is this safe for me to do, or would you recommend not doing this? Again, it's a tough question, Steve, because it depends on how many links you already have going to your site, probably. I would say it is probably a little risky, Steve. But again, it depends on what's already going to your site. Now, if you're doing this and they weren't that close, you know, they didn't all have the same C class, then you know, a lot of people do that and it works very well. You know, when they have clients, they'll put a link in the footer, and that worked great. But what you're talking about, because it's all in the same hosting account, reseller hosting account, that may be a little risky, I would say. So I would definitely be careful with that. Carl, how long do you have to wait before you do your first post after you have set up your PBN? To be sure the PBN is not penalized when you check it, can you check it already when it's registered, indexed, but not set up? Do you always have to do a test first and try to rank a test site? I mean, you don't have to test it, but I just like, you know, it's safer. But I'll usually put up a post and then wait 2-3 days and check it. If it fails at that point, it doesn't mean it's penalized. It can just be taking longer to properly index, so I'll give it another 2-3 days, check it again. If it still doesn't, I'll give it another 3 days and do a final check. And if it still doesn't pass, I'll usually put it down as bad. So that's usually my process. Usually it indexes after like 3-4 days though properly, and you can check it. But again, if it doesn't pass that first one, wait another 2-3-4 days, whatever, and check it again. And then even check it again after that if it doesn't. Alright, from Jamie. For Cotton's old site, was he just adding new pages in WordPress to do this? Yeah, Jamie. He was just copying the content, changing the city name, and adding new pages. All right, from Joanne, I started a site, and in one instance ended up with a word -2. Is there any problem just leaving the word -2 as it did index? No, and that happens sometimes when you already had a page called that. There's like a weird problem with WordPress where it always does that. Even if you deleted the previous page, it'll put a 2 on the end. I mean, it shouldn't cause a problem. It's not going to look as good, obviously, but as far as SEO, it won't cause a problem. I mean, you could just do like Word and then something else with the URL. It depends how you had the site set up. But I mean, as far as SEO, it shouldn't affect it. I mean, if it were my site, I wouldn't like it in there just because it doesn't look right. But I would probably add in like another word or an S or something like that. Alright, so let me get a new shot. From Steve, I have a money site that ranks for local terms that used to be number one for its primary keywords, but over the last few months has dropped down to number three for its primary keyword. However, this site still ranks number one. The 7-pack for this keyword, yeah, it's common. I've sent a few links but didn't change. About a week ago, I changed the title of the page, and after a few minutes was number one. Nice. However, I looked yesterday and it is number three again. Do you have any advice as to what I can do to get this site back to number one and stay there? I also got some citations done about a month ago, around 40 by a guy recommended in the group, but I don't think all of those is kicked in yet. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just let it sit for a little bit, Steve, or you can just play with the one page. And again, I don't know. It's always hard to answer these questions because I don't know what's been done overall. Like, I don't know the anchor text. I don't know the keyword density for that keyword. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, so it's hard to give an answer for. But when you change the title, it moving up to number one, that's a good sign. So you might just want to let it sit for a little while, give it another week or two, see if it moves back. It might keep moving back up and then come down, end up staying in place. But again, it really depends on what's been done to the site. All right, from Jeff. Watching your affiliate video again, America Speaks, where you're discussing how deep you go into a niche. My question is on the other side of keyword traffic is monetization. How do you know you can monetize keywords or best include areas are worth your time to dig into? Do you find a keyword and then look for a related affiliate program? Well, in this example, Jeff, I know that brand names usually make money because when someone's searching for a brand name, they want more information on it. So brand name review, anything like that, they want more information. Like they already have information, like kind of like they're already prepped for it, I guess you could say. They're all kind of pre-sold on it wherever they heard it from. Now they're usually looking for like that final information on like where they can buy or something like that. Brand keywords are pretty good for that. So any type of niche like that where there's like a lot of product names, keyword research is pretty easy. And any other niche, I just think like what would I type in if I were to buy this product? Not if I just wanted to get free information about something or whatever. What would I type in if I want to buy it? All right, from Steve. Citations help you rank in the 7-pack, and I also understand organic ranking help you rank in the 7-pack. But do citations help you rank organically? Yes, they do. From Matt, is it possible for an inner page to cause an issue if it's optimized for the same keyword as the home page by accident? It depends, I would say. I mean, you could end up having, the inner page rank instead. It depends on how it's optimized and how it's optimized compared to the home page, and then also what has the stronger links and the identifying factors for that keyword. So I mean, what could happen is you could have a page ranking in that case that you would rather have the other page ranking for, if it's better optimized overall than the other version. So I mean that's really the only issue that I could see coming up there. All right, from Jeff, related to your America Speaks affiliate site, there's a tremendous amount of content on there, probably several thousand words, and I can only imagine that you might cost paid for articles. Do you recommend a guide at $2 per word, so I'd estimate spending several thousand to get the content? Is there a more cost-effective way to get your content besides writing it all yourself? I mean, you can order it, Jeff. Remember that site was making between $3,000 and $6,000 a month. So even if I spent $3,000 on content, I'm making that back in 2 weeks, a month at most, and then it's all profit from there. You know what I mean? That's just the cost of doing business. I mean, you don't have to do that all at once. You can start with a few. You can spend $100 on content, start with a few products, and then take it from there. So, or you can write it all yourself and do it for free. Alright, from Carl, if you're not 100% sure a PBN is not penalized, is the best option then to send a link to one of your PBNs, a link to your money site instead? And can it hurt your site if you are penalized PBN to a Web 2.0, which links to your money site? I mean, I would just do a penalty check as good as you can. For me, it usually if it fails miserably, like if we did this one right here and it wasn't on the first 3 or 4 pages, first 3 pages, that means it has a spam penalty. I'm probably not using it for anything. All right, just like I don't even like involving it. Like there's no reason to even take that chance. If I wasn't sure, like if I did this and it appeared on the second page, that could mean some type of like smaller penalty. So I might use that for a Web 2.0 or a citation with high domain authority. But again, if it fails miserably, I just don't use it at all. Because I'm sure it can hurt your site. I haven't tested a ton with that. I'm doing a little bit of testing with that now, so I can let you know on that later. But I've never really like purposely done that. Like if it fails miserably, I don't really use it. But I've been taking some of those ones that failed miserably and doing that, so I'll let you know on that. All right, from Steve, can you run through when we need to use custom private name servers, please? You don't at all if you're using shared hosting. All right. Well, actually, you don't at all anywhere now because we're not sending links from the same host to the same money site. So I mean, you don't really need to use them at all now if you're following that advice. All right, from Delwyn, any advice on client getting? I do mostly cold calling. Any type of client stuff, Delwyn, you want to take to either Fletch or Cotton. I'm definitely not a client getting guy. No more SEO. All right, from Joanne, I have a client who put all their videos on their personal YouTube account. The YouTube business page has 0 videos. Should I start building the business page or just send links to the personal YouTube video account? I mean, you can send them to the personal one, Joanne. You can. It's the same thing, pretty much. I don't know. I would have to see them side by side in the exact setup they have, but there should be no issue with sending them to the personal YouTube, videos. All right, from Carl, if you link one PBN to different Web 2.0s linked to the same money site, can you do it from the same post, or is it best to do it from separate posts? You can do it from the same post. From JR, I've been buying a lot of expired domains lately, but I want to know when you set up expired domains, do you link out to a money site right away and see if it gets indexed, or do you put a dummy post first to see if it'll get indexed? I usually put up a dummy post, usually like 100 words or something, just something stupid. I'll let it index again, what I was talking about just a little earlier, give it 3-4 days, do a penalty check. If it doesn't pass, give it another 3-4 days. So yeah, I do that. I mean, you don't have to. You're just taking a little bit of a risk, and it depends where you're pointing it to. But I mean, there's definitely sites out there where I think they're perfectly fine, and then there's just something I missed, and they don't pass. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but it can happen. You can save yourself by just doing that penalty check. All right. Do you have a method for determining how difficult for keyword difficulty? How would you classify Iowa City SEO hard, medium, easy, and what would be Nashville SEO on the same scale? I mean, that really depends who you ask. Iowa City SEO I would say is definitely easy for me. Nashville SEO between easy and medium, but I've also ranked for some of the hardest keywords out there. So I mean, I think that just depends on who you ask and how experienced you are. But I would say most local is pretty easy unless you're getting with lawyers or like the bigger niches, the big money niches. A lot of local is pretty easy. But I mean, for determining keyword difficulty, I usually just look at the first page. I see, what type of links they have, what anchor text they're using, their domain authority. Let's kind of look at the whole picture. And I can usually tell from there. I mean, it's something you just get with experience. All right, from Steve, is it okay to use a PBN that is linking directly to our money site to power up a DAS cluster that is linking to the same money site? I'm trying to think if I've ever done that. It's probably okay to do, Steve. I'm not sure I've ever done that specifically. It's probably okay to do, but I'd be very careful on doing it repeatedly. If you're going to do it, I would do it very sparingly. Because I mean, I always try to think of I don't know the exact answer to this question because I've never specifically done it or tested it. Like look for it in tests. So anytime a question like this comes up, I just kind of think of it logically. You know, if a site has links or if a site is linking out to someone, it's possible they'll link out to, the site's Twitter, the site's Facebook. Here's their Twitter account for Greg123.com. Here's the Facebook account for Greg123.com. And if you want to visit their official site, go to Greg123.com. So, it's something that could definitely naturally happen. I don't think that's something they're going to penalize you for, but I wouldn't, repeat that over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Use it sparingly. But, thinking about it logically, it's not something that's uncommon, I don't think. I think that's something that happens a good bit. Where someone will link out to someone's, social properties and then their official site. Alright, is it true the citations do not have a benefit for organic results? Do you use them for affiliate sites? They do have a benefit for organic results. I've tested it specifically. I've even tested it for sites that are not in Google business. They're not registered at all, but I've still sent them citations with a fake address, and it's moved them up in organic. So 100% they benefit organic. I've never used them for affiliate sites, though, although I'm pretty sure it can be done. Right, if I have two websites on the same hosting account, one is the primary domain, the other is an add-on domain, if one of the site gets a penalty, could it affect the other site as well? No. Well, I shouldn't say no, but I'm sure there's hosts out there that are set up weird. In almost all cases, no. Because usually a shared hosting account, there's hundreds or thousands of other sites on that same server. So, almost always that answer is no. Alright, I know this question has been asked before, but with the recent content quality update, is it still safe to use the exact same content on different location pages? So, same content on mysite.com service /city1 and mysite.com service city2, etc. I don't know, Jeff. I've never actually done that, so I'm not sure. I don't have any sites out there like that. The best way to know would be to go and search and see if sites are still out there doing that. But I don't know because I've never done that. And unfortunately, Cotton Site got hit with that, with the turn-in, what we think is a turn-in. So we don't have his site to go off either. So, all right, Steve, if a site we buy has backlinks to it, but when we analyze them in Open Site Explorer, sometimes some of the links are no longer active, but they are still shown in Site Explorer. In this case, does Google still read the anchor text and categorize our site based on that, or will it only read the non-broken or still active links? It will still you only get credit for that links that are still active in a way, Steve, but just like links are taking a while to kick in, when you lose a link, it takes a while for that to take effect. So, if you lose a link, you may notice a slow descent over 6 months. Because just like when you get a link, it may take 6 months to kick in fully. When you lose a link, it may take 6 months to fully lose that power. So, they can still be helping you a little, but they'll fade over time. Mainly, they look at what links are still active. All right, does it affect our rankings at all if your domain is purchased for 2 years as opposed to 1 year with the registrar? I was wondering if Google can see this and gives domains more credit that have been purchased for a longer duration, as this could show that the owner is prepared to have the domain long term. It could help a very, very little bit, Steve. If it does, it doesn't help very much. I can tell you that, because I've messed with that, and I haven't seen much of a difference. But it could help you a very little bit. All right, from Paul. For doorway page, I'm in a page for a keyword like dog training for puppies, and then have other pages like dog behavioral training for puppies and other variation keywords, all as separate pages. If each has original content, is that okay or likely to be a problem? Okay. I mean, if you have it siloed correctly, I don't think that would be a problem, Paula. You know, if you got slash dog training, and you got slash puppy, slash behavior training, slash golden retrievers, I don't see that as a problem. From Steve, is it necessary to use a VPN or proxies when setting up PBNs, DAS, etc.? I don't, Steve. In what case do you use a private browser incognito window? I usually always use private incognito when I'm doing searches, just because it helps. But I'll use like Internet Explorer now when I log into my PBNs and stuff. I won't use Chrome for that usually. But when I'm doing like searches on Google, I'll just do incognito because it shows the best results, or the most accurate results, I should say. I have a review site for different products. For each product, I have a separate review page and its subpages. I am promoting my second product now, but of course, most anchor text for this domain is about the first product, so I am afraid Google will think that my site is only about the first product. Maybe that's the reason why I can't get all of my main keywords indexed. What is the best way and fastest way to update the anchor text of my domain and product page? I already sent a few PBNs with anchor keywords as anchor text. I mean, you pretty much did it, Carl. Again, remember those links are going to take a while to kick in. But yeah, I mean, just sending links with that anchor text is going to help them identify what that page is about. All right, should you include the main keywords for your money site in the titles of the posts on your PBNs? I'll mix it up, Carl. Sometimes I'll name the whole PBN, like the actual title of the site name. I'll map around what I'm linking to. Sometimes I'll just do the post. Like I'll make the PBN more general, like Greg's site, the business directory, and I'll link out to like a Nashville SEO site with an article on Nashville SEO type thing, or just general SEO. I'll at least have general and SEO in the title of the post. So I do both, where sometimes I'll theme the whole site around the keyword, sometimes I'll just theme the post around the keyword, or the general keyword, like SEO. Alright, is it necessary to have your keywords in your meta description? If they're not in there, will Google then more likely show a piece of your content with your keywords instead of the meta description? I never really fill out my meta descriptions, Cora. I let them pull that from my content. So I don't have much experience with actually filling that out, if that's what you're talking about. But usually, like if you have it on your page, they'll pull that from your page. So I mean, I don't worry a ton about the meta description. How do you go about gauging the competition? There is no exact way to tell how many PBNs you would need or how much work is needed. Basically, how do you go about gauging the competition? Yeah, we just answered this one. Again, that's a little bit experience, but again, look at domain authority, links, anchor text they're using is a huge one. How their URL set up, is the keyword in the domain name? That's a big one. Is it in the URL? So you got to kind of look at everything for competition. And then also you can just kind of, some of it's, part of it's common sense, like how big is the keyword? I mean, if something like lose weight, obviously that's going to be a ton of competition. If something like, how to lose weight for women over 40, that's not going to be as competitive. So you can also use that and then mix it in with everything else. All right, when did the change occur that it takes several months for links to kick in? After the Iowa City SEO example site. Seems that site ranked first page in about a month. Again, remember that's an easier keyword, Ryan. And it's also an EMD, so that EMDs tend to can rank a little quicker. And then also the traffic that we got for it, natural traffic, helped it rank quicker. So, I mean, that change for links taking longer to kick in, I would say it happened about 6 months ago, and then over the last couple months, I think it's even taking a little bit longer. All right, what can we do to power up our current links? Already have social explosion on my PBNs. I mean, usually what I do to power up is I'll send PBNs to social or Web 2.0 stuff, James. Do you update all your PBNs with content at all? Sometimes I do, James. Sometimes I don't. So sometimes some of them I'll just leave. Some of them I will update with content. I may have inadvertently over-optimized a site, create a slash blog on money site and added posts, but many of the posts contain the primary keyword in the URL and the title. Suspect may have upset a certain panda animal. What's the best way to undo this? No index the post with over-optimized keywords or 301 redirect to non-optimized URLs. Any other ideas how to handle this? Yeah, I mean, if you're pretty sure that's what it is, God, I would probably 301. I would 301 to unoptimized URLs. Is it okay to have the same content across your city pages but changing the city name? Again, I don't know. It was at least up till a couple weeks ago. Unless that's changed over the last couple weeks, then it's still okay. But again, remember we've always said that that is taking a risk. Like that's something they could very easily change down the road. So the site I'm trying to rank for is stuck on the bottom of page 1 and the second page, but the competition does not have on page done correctly at all. Could it be age? Should I send social links? I have a total of 10 PBN links in the competition that only 60 plus searches. Again, like it's such a hard question to answer when I don't have the details. Remember, optimization is a factor of everything. So they could have unoptimized anchor text with very optimized on page, and that could be what's doing it for them. And then maybe they have very relevant links, they're very powerful links. So I mean, it's tough to say why you're getting beat out without saying it. Is it still possible to rank for a major city if your address is not in that city? I live far from any major cities, but I'm hesitant to use a virtual address. Do you recommend using virtual addresses? What is the real risk? Thanks. I mean, as far as it ranking in the maps, that's going to be hard. Ranking organically, no, it's no different, Christina. For virtual addresses, I mean, they're still safe. Again, it is something they could fire on later on, but you can always find virtual addresses that are less used as well, and I think that's pretty safe to use right now. I mean, I still use them. I'm not too worried about them. So, but yeah, I mean, if your original question, you can still rank organically, totally fine. But ranking the maps without addressing that city is definitely a lot harder. Alright, I have Yoast and Google XML sitemaps on a money site, and there's a message from Yoast saying that having both of these plugins doing sitemap can actually hurt you. Have you seen this? Do you just disable one of them for the sitemap portion? I haven't even really been using Google XML sitemaps lately. I've just been letting Yoast do that, but I do have sites where I have both of them, and I just ignored that message, Jamie. I don't know if that's the right move or not, but I just ignored it, and everything worked fine. So, but lately I haven't even really been using Google XML sitemaps. I've just been using Yoast. So you'd be probably fine just deactivating Google XML sitemaps. I have a 3-word EMD in a local niche that I'm trying to rank. I was watching your video on ranking EMD by making the links look like a brand. Still confused on how to avoid over-optimization penalty. Can you show a linking example? I mean, it's just like... Say you got, so you got girl gets ring, okay? So that's your keyword. That's a 3-word keyword. That's a product name. So for this, you could do like, again, remember you would want to mix in other stuff, but you could do, you know, girl gets ring review. Girl gets ring. Get married today. Girl gets ring. Of course, you would want to have stuff in here. You might want to have like a URL link. You might want to have a get more information, something like that. Just depends how aggressive you want to be. But you can do stuff like this. Alright? And that's going to help you rank for this word here. I mean, any of this long stuff, they're kind of seeing that as a brand. So, I mean, you would just do it like that. Alright, from Michael. Is it a good idea to get citations to my local lead gen sites, even if I'm not trying to get these types of sites in the 7-pack? The address I'm using is just a UPS store mailbox. Yeah, I mean, again, citations can help organic. I wouldn't get a ton of them, though. I would focus more on getting a smaller amount of the higher quality ones. I wouldn't go out and just get like 300 citations. Go out and maybe get like 15 of high quality ones. I noticed some rogue person out there put a Thrill Casino link on my site inside the Google Maps. So I did a scan of my website security using local lead boss, and the results showed that it is very vulnerable. How can I secure my site best? I have director's cut theme. I would ask that in the Facebook group, Josephine. I'm not a big security person. I'm not like really good with security, so I would ask that in the Facebook group. Any type of security stuff. But I know WordFence, I believe it's WordFence, works pretty good for security. When comparing our competition to see how difficult it will be to rank site, is there a way to see if they are hiding their links? If so, how? Not necessarily. I mean, you can use different link aggregators to see if you can pull up different links, but if they really know what they're doing, no. There's not really a way. I've used an exact match anchor for my PBNs directly to my money site. Is it okay to use a similar anchor to a high DA property? It depends on the rest of your optimization, James, and all your other links. So it just depends what else you got going on. I mean, if that's your only link so far, that was the only link you sent was exact match anchor, I probably wouldn't do the same exact thing to a high DA, even a high DA property, the very next move you make, just to be safe. Not saying it would hurt you, but I'd rather be safe. If my SEO business is run from my home, what options do I have for setting up a Google Plus page and citations other than using my home address? Virtual address, Pete. You can get a virtual address. So back to hosting going down. I'm going to move my PBN to another hosting, but I don't have the same files that I did when I was on the previous hosting. So I'm going to link out to my money sites with the same anchor text I did before it went down. Is that fine? Yeah, it should be fine, you see. I've never had that problem, but I don't see why that wouldn't be okay. When you do a penalty check for a PBN, if it shows up on page 1 for any of the penalty checks, is it always 100% sure it's safe to use, or can it still have a small penalty? It could still have some type of really small penalty, Carl, but usually I'm not as worried about them. The main ones I'm worried about are the spam penalties, which go back on page like 4, 5, 6 usually. But I mean, you could have like some type of over-optimization penalty from before or something like that, but those typically don't. I'm not as worried about them. The main reason I do those penalty checks is to look for spam penalties, because those are what can really hurt you. Alright, in one of the recent videos, you said it's now okay to put PBNs on the same hosting accounts as add-on domains as long as they don't have links to the same money site. However, is it also okay to have a mix of money sites and PBNs on the same hosting as add-ons as long as they don't link to each other? Just be careful with it. I do that, Steve, but I won't link any of the sites on that host to that account. So, for example, if I have like a whole list of PBNs on HostGator, I may add a money site to that HostGator account, but none of those HostGator PBNs are going to be linking to my money site on HostGator. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can do that, just keep it separate from the PBNs as far as linking goes. when you link from a PBN to your money site, do you also use the same PBN to link to your social pages that link to the same money site? Again, we talked about this earlier. You can, but I would use it sparingly. If you think about it logically, people will probably link to, they'll, if they really like, a brand or something, they say, check out their Facebook page. Here's their YouTube account, which has some awesome videos. And then, if you want to check out their homepage, here it is here. So, I mean, it's something that naturally happens. So, it's something you can use, but just be sparing with it. Don't use it all the time. All right, from Yasin, can you search up car service to Reagan National Airport and tell me what you think of the competition? My page is on the second page, 17, I believe. I'm trying to rank Zor transportation for that keyword. Yeah, I'll take a look in 1 second. Bill says security plugin Brute Protect works very well for someone asking about the security. So thank you, Bill. I'm sure he knows a lot more about security than I do. What is your process to get traffic to a new site to help get it ranking? I mean, usually I don't worry about that unless it's stuck for a while, Paula, but you can use something like micro workers or something like that where you can pay people to visit your site, and it's kind of like you can pay them to do specific, like, go to my site, count how many images are on my page, report that back to me. That way people are going to your site, they're staying on your site for a little while, and you're getting natural visitors. So you can use something like that, but usually I don't mess too much with that stuff. Yoast now has a built-in sitemap feature that defaults to active. That's why the error with Google XML sitemaps. Yeah, again, I haven't even really been using Google XML sitemaps lately. For my new sites, I haven't even been installing it. But I'm going to be honest, for my old sites, I haven't taken it off. Like, I still have Yoast and Google XML sitemaps installed. I left them both, and they're doing fine. But yeah, moving forward, it's probably just better just to use Yoast if that's what you're using already. So let me see. Car service to Reagan National Airport. I don't see you on the second page. Yeah, I don't see you here, Yasin. The Zar site. Let me see if my, let's see. I can get the stats here. Alright. So it looks like this site here, they have domain authority 29. This page has no authority, but they're optimized for this inner URL for that exact keyword. Same thing here. So it doesn't look like this would be really competitive. We'll go take a look at this one though, real quick. I obviously can't look at all the sites on the first page. Yeah, so that page really does have no links going to it, the one that's ranking. But remember, what anchor text is going to the home page also matters for any inner page as well. So we got to check the home page. So they got 306 links, 77 referring domains. Go look at the anchor text. Freezing up a little bit here. All right, yes, they do have anchor text going to the home page of that. Remember we talked about this. We'll end this. Well, is there any more questions? I'm just going to read this last comment because we'll make this the last because this is pretty powerful. I'll kind of give you guys a big tip. I've given this before, but not a lot. Thierry just says, if I use microsite workers to get some traffic to my money site by searching for the keyword, what percent of the search volume would you do? For example, if the keyword is getting 1,000 searches per month, how many searches would you get with microsite workers? It really depends, Thierry. Usually I won't use this like a ton. Like I haven't messed with it a ton. I'll just start sending like some natural traffic to my site, like maybe 10, 20 visitors a day, something like that, for a keyword that gets maybe 1,000 searches per month. Maybe just like 10 per day. Just get some type of natural traffic, so you don't have to spend a ton, but just increase your natural traffic a little bit, like people going to your site, visiting your site and just staying on it for a little bit. So, all right. So, big tip here, guys. We've talked about this before. People, especially when like on an inner page, like they'll be stuck on an inner page. These guys right here, they got this inner page optimized for this keyword, right? Car service to or from whatever, Reagan National Airport, same thing. But guess what? All of their links with that anchor text are going to the home page. All right, so sometimes when I'm stuck, like if I'm stuck for an inner page specifically, I'll start actually sending links to the home page with that anchor text. Because what that does is it themes the whole site about this topic. All right, because what most people do when they do SEO, they'll just send links to this particular URL, the inner URL for those keyword optimized keywords for car service from Regal National Airport. Well, if you send links to the home page to that, which isn't necessarily optimized for that, Google almost gives you a bonus for that. They're saying, okay, this guy's not trying to do SEO. He's not sending keyword optimized links to the keyword optimized page. So they give you a lot of credit for that, and they've been doing it more and more recently, and it helps theme your site about that topic. They actually have number 1, number 2, and number 3 here. I'm sorry, they're number 3 and number 4. So it looks like they have one for car and then one for limo. And they're ranking them for both of these. Alright? And the reason for that is because their site, these are going to the home page. Their site is themed about this topic. Even smaller ones like car service, car service, car service. These are all going to the home page. So that's what's powerful about a site like Cotton site. That's why his ranks so well, because his home page was themed around SEO. It was themed around St. Louis SEO, but that's SEO. And his inner page is also about SEO. They're grabbing that from the home page, like, okay, home page is about SEO, inner page is about SEO. They give that a lot more credit. Same thing here. Links going to the home page about with an inner page topic, without those links going to the inner page, and they're going to give you a lot of credit for that. So just be aware that's something that can be very powerful. Like if you're stuck for an inner page specifically, I'll usually send this type of keywords to the home page. I'll start theming my home page about that, which will in turn send up the inner page. Because if you keep pounding this inner page with links about this particular keyword, especially for a longer tail keyword like this, you can run into over-optimization pretty easily. But if you send them to the home page, it's a lot safer because it themes the whole site about it, and that particular page isn't really necessarily, or the home page isn't necessarily optimized for that specific keyword. So you're staying away from over-optimization at the same time. Alright, so that's actually a pretty cool lesson here to end, and it can be very powerful. But yeah, I would say that this shouldn't be terribly hard. But what these guys did was actually pretty smart. But I didn't see your site on the second page like you said, or I would have looked at it. Yeah, all their stuff to the home page is optimized around like transportation, car service, and then of course this particular keyword here, which must be important for them because they have that a good bit. But yeah, I mean, that can be very powerful, guys. Optimizing your home page for keywords about what your inner pages are about. It's going to give you a lot of credit for those inner page keywords. All right, so it looks like we are good to go, guys. I will get this recording over to David. And also, I know someone asked about the June 1st recording, so I will email David now, whoever asked that, and I'll see what's going on with that, see if he posted it. And make sure he posts if he hasn't already. All right? All right, guys, thanks for coming out. We had a lot of people on today. I appreciate you coming, and I will see you all next week, same time, most likely. Talk to you guys next week.